Hi, Miss Manisha.
Hi, Mansi.
So, can I just get a gist of your journey? Firstly, I would like to start with you introducing yourself and where you are now.
Okay, sure. So I'm Manisha. Manisha Sharma Prasad is how I write it.
Okay.
Sharma is my maiden name. And journey has been of 22 years now, Mansi. I was born and raised in Raipur, Chhattisgarh. I completed my graduation there. I did my bachelor's of business administration. And there were multiple things actually. I wanted to become an engineer. I cleared pre-engineering test, PET, in those days, in the first attempt, but I was getting civil and I didn't want to do civil. So I, instead of taking a break, which my parents wanted me to take a break and appear again, and though I took a break, but then I wasn't very comfortable with my decision at that point in time. So I actually picked up fashion designing. I was a professional fashion designer for a year. I did professional fashion designing course at JD. I topped the whole country. I was getting a scholarship in NIFT. I didn't join because in those days it was a push towards academics, right? So fashion designing wasn't taken as a career option in those days. So I was pushed back into my academics. So I did my bachelor's of business administration. Then I appeared for management, CAT, and got through IMDR as WBM Calcutta. I picked up IMDR because Pune sounded more interesting to me as a city. And then I got through IMDR and did my 2 years of MBA, started my journey with a company called Mascom Global in Chennai, and 2 years of my job in Chennai, and then got married, came to Mumbai, and that's how it has started. And I'm here now working with CRIF. I've completed my 4 years now. I joined as a VP, was managing India as a region, and now I'm managing all of South Asia, India and South Asia.
Wow,
So that's in short about my journey.
that's amazing. I'm
Thank you.
already intrigued to know more about it. So, I would like to know that what led to this?
Mhm.
Like, there are so many incidents that take place in our life, and you left your fashion designing course, and it must be a tough thing to do as well. Was it tough?
So, Mansi, see, I mean, I'll take more, on my childhood days and how we've been. So, I belong to a middle class family, right? My father was a banker. He retired as a manager in SPI, and in those days, it was like once you get a job in a bank. And I have seen my dad working for 30, 40 years in the same. I mean, he joined bank and he retired with that bank. Okay, that's how it has been, and a lot of it which I have taken it from within my family, right? So my brothers, my two elder brothers, both of them, I mean, one of them is working with IBM now. He's leading the global practice. He's been from NITI, one of the prestigious colleges here, and he's from MSCT Bhopal. The other one is a doctor who's, pediatrician now living in Australia. He's a part of Australian Medical Council, and he's a, big achiever there. So all three of us have taken it from the family from the childhood days, right? I mean, typically in a small town, when you're born and raised in a small town, the surroundings are not, don't provide you that exposure, right? Typically what anyone who's raised in or born in a metro city has. So for us, it was only either medicine or an engineering in those days, right? Someone who used to take commerce or a BCom or a BA was not supposed to be one of the, which means that you do not have brains, or you're not so, intelligent, and you're taking an offline kind of a career and you cannot study, or you're not good in academics kinds. So that was the push socially also for us. But hardworking and, taking career decisions on your own is something which comes by default in you. Parents, where their boundaries are, that they're taking care of yourself, they're taking care of you, they're providing you all what it needs for you to grow, have a good schooling, have a good upbringing, right? And some things which you learn from them naturally. So the hard working attitude, the, thought process, the decision making, the analyzing part, all of it has come to us naturally. I mean, no one guided us that you have to go to this coaching or you have to appear for this examination. All of us, all of the kids, who are born and raised in such cities and small towns, they pick it up on their own, is what I feel,
That's right.
so picked that up on my own, and started making my own career decisions, and letting my parents and my brothers know that this is what I would like to do. Of course, taking their opinions, taking their thought process, because they knew it more than me, right? I mean, they've been there, they've done that, so they would know it. So taking the right kind of guidance from there, but yeah, making your own call towards the end, making your own conscious decision towards the end. So I think that's how it has been. My mom has been quite an inspiration to me. A little bit about my mom, if I can share.
Of course.
She got married at the age of 17 or 18 when she passed out her 11th. And she got married, and by the time I think she was 22, she had all three of us. Okay, I was born when she was 22, 23. uh, I still remember when I started going to class 1, that's when my mom enrolled herself for a graduation. So she did her BA, and then she wanted to become a lawyer, so she did her LLB. Then she did her MA, and she's a practicing lawyer now for 35 years. And I have seen her preparing our lunch boxes, getting us ready for school, and then taking her scooty or tvs that time and going to college. So I think the will, the determination, the fearlessness is something which I have taken by default from her, observing her, seeing at home and all of that. uh, the hard work and the simplicity is what I've taken from my dad and my brothers. All three of them are very simple, very modest in their lives, in spite of all of their achievements, and a very strong value system is what they carry. So, in a meeting, yeah, I'll call you.
You can edit this, don't worry.
So that's something which has actually helped me a lot. I mean, consciously, unconsciously, I have picked those things up. You don't realize it then as a kid, right? But eventually, as you grow in life, as you start experiencing life, right, professionally, personally, all over, you start growing yourself as an individual, as a person. Then you start realizing that these are the attributes which have actually made you who you are right now, right? So that's something which and I couldn't correlate then that this is something which I'm picking it up and this is how it is going to help me. But I now, when I can think of it, I can very clearly establish a correlation that yes, this is something which has helped me a lot, and I think it is important for everyone to focus on such attributes, right from the childhood days. So I think that's all something which I would talk
So
about.
I think you would definitely agree that the environment around you matters a lot.
Absolutely,
That's
absolutely,
great.
it does matter.
So I would like to talk about the initial days of your
Hmm.
work. How were they? Were they tough? How were they? Were they easy, or I mean not easy of course, but
So yes, Mansi, the initial days, see, when we passed out in 2000 from IMDR, the market was not very great at that in that year, right? So there were not many jobs for the freshers. Fortunately, I was the one to get a job from the campus, and there's this company called Mascon Global which came to our campus and picked up 4 or 5 HR students from the batch, and I was one of those. And I joined Mascon Global in Chennai. Obviously, for someone who has come out after 22 years from home, I mean, all this while I stayed in Raipur, I studied there. Having come here to Pune to do my MBA itself was a big achievement for me, and it was a big challenge for myself to overcome that fear, because uh, even though you have been born and raised and you go for your schools to an English medium school, to a convent, but you're not comfortable talking in English, right? So, and you lack confidence in spite of having everything in you. So I knew I was excellent in academics. I knew I was a professional fashion designer, and Madhu Sapre would have worn my outfits when we were doing the fashion show in Raipur. So I had all of that. But then when I came to the college, and when I picked up my first job, I still somewhere was fighting within myself that yes, you have achieved it, and you have to have that confidence in you. I mean, what is it that you're afraid of, right? So the hesitation in talking in English initially, being yourself in front of others who are like all born and raised in big towns and from big different branded colleges and all of that, and they're coming and talking to you about 10 things, but when it actually comes to doing stuff, then you realize that listen, I know it and I can do it, kind of a stuff, right? So that starts building that conviction in you that your personality and you being outspoken doesn't matter. I mean, you what matters is for you to know things, for you to do the hard work, for you to stay committed, bring that passion, and just do it. That's all what matters. So I think the first year in Mascon was like that only, where I was hired along with others, and it was a totally different culture altogether. So Chennai 20 years back is very different what Chennai is now. A very close society, I would say, socially, okay? And we were all tagged as North Indian girls, okay? So when we were looking out for a flat, everyone used to ask us, all of you girls are Brahmins, right? So tell us your surname, titles, what does your dad do, where is your family. So they were like that conservative in mindset, and one of the poshest society where we wanted to be. Okay. And but it was good fun, 1.5 years, because we were about 17-20 of us. All of them got jobs in different companies in Chennai, but we all landed as a group in Chennai. So we actually had good times of our life in Chennai. When it comes to work, it was the initial acceptance which one has to build in, because it was a company which was headquartered there. For the first time, the company had gone out and taken management trainees, okay, and we were all hired as MTs. And obviously there are certain privileges which an MT gets, right, in an organization as a part of their own process and policies and programs. So the people who were already there, the existing employees who were the localites, there was a little bit of resistance, which we realized. We felt that, these are freshers, how would they come and, claim so and so kind of an entitlement, or how would they work like this, how would they get an access to this. So all of these things were there, but you eventually have to build up towards building that acceptability. And what helped was, I think, the simplicity and the modesty, right? Just be yourself. I mean, you need to just tell that person that, listen, I'm here to learn, I can learn from you, right? And I'm here to experience as much as I can, build in with your help. And that's how it is. So there's nothing that you are challenging someone or you're being competitive. You can be competitive without even challenging the other person. So you just need to build that up. So that was a good experience of establishing that acceptability in that environment, in that company, and growing in that company. But yeah, Ajay, my husband, was having a job in Mumbai, and I had to leave my job in Chennai and come for my marriage. So we got married, and then I had a break, I think, of 6 months after my marriage. So I couldn't get a job in Bombay when we decided to get married. And for me and for my husband, it was like, set up your personal life first, and then you go back and focus on your professional life. Because if you're not, satisfied personally at a personal level, because that's where you get all your energies and, motivation from. So if you're not happy, and if you're worried, and things are not settled back home, then you actually cannot focus on your career. So we wanted to get married in spite of not having a job in Mumbai. We said, okay, let's do it, and then we'll figure it out. We'll do something. By the time we got married and I started looking out for a job, things have not been that easy, right, for me in the initial years of my career. I've always had a very tough challenges being thrown onto me, but I think I'm very proud that, I have been able to manage all of those, very strongly and successfully, as I would call it. So I wasn't getting a job in Bombay, and I think, yeah, there was this one Swedish company which was more on resourcing, and they had an assistant manager recruitment position. While I didn't want to make a career in recruitment, but because I didn't have anything, I picked that up, that I have to do something, I have to get started somewhere, right? There has to be a start point, and I cannot sit at home like this. So I picked that up, and I was doing pretty well there. I joined as an AM and resigned, I think, as a senior manager. And I joined with a particular role, but by the time end of 2 years, 1.5, 2 years, I was doing everything. But then I realized this is not what I would like to do, in my career. And I started applying, and I got a job with GTL Limited that time in Mumbai, and joined GTL. That was another one. I would like to talk about that instance, because that's something, some of these small instances have built up a lot, of experiences and learnings for me. So I would like to quote them. So this was when I joined Globally Secure, which was a consulting firm, okay, network security consulting. And I was offered, and I was called on a Sunday to do the joining, because Mr. Deepak Pareja, who was my manager then, he had resigned and he was flying the next day to Delhi. So that was with 2 years of experience and having that role, that was the only, 1 day handover which was given to me on a Sunday, when I went to the office and he was sitting there with all the files and all the details and everything. He said, Manisha, I know you can do it. I have seen you in the interview. I'm sure you can work with the CEO. I was like, sir, I have 2.5 years of experience. No, you can work with the CEO, don't worry. And if you have any problems, you can give me a call. And I was working in that company with the consultants and senior consultants who had about 15, 16 and 20 years of experience, and the CEO, okay, whom I was directly reporting to or working with him. And obviously the parent company, which is Global Telesystems, okay. So I was aligned to the HR function of the parent company, and taking care of this organization. That's a good challenge for me. 1 day handover, and just getting started. The very next day morning, I have to introduce myself to everyone, saying that I am Manisha, I have joined as an HR for this company, and Deepak has hired me, and he's already gone to Delhi. So if you have anything, you should reach out to me. So that was another good challenge for me to establish myself again there, working with very senior people. Obviously, as HR, there are certain things which you are responsible for, accountable for. But because you are junior and you have seniors around who have worked in the industry more than you, to get them convinced about your thought process, about your logic, get that, to work collaboratively is something which I have learned from each of these instances and experiences. So it has been a very good journey there also, where I worked for 2-3 years. We had to move to Pune because Ajay had got a job in Pune. I thought Pune is a better city because Bombay was like, it taught me a lot traveling every day in the local trains. Okay, initially I didn't have an experience of traveling in the local trains, so some of my team members I used to board in from Kandivali, and they used to board in from Borivali earlier than me. So they used to wait for me at the gate that we'll have to pull Manisha inside because she doesn't know how to climb and she'll probably fall one day, off the train. So they had to help me. So Bombay actually onboards you very well, So Bombay knows how to onboard a newcomer into the city and how to assimilate that person well into the city as well. So I think that's been a good life, a lot of struggle in Bombay, but it's, to me, it's like a churning machine, and until unless someone gets into a churning machine, you really cannot, taste success. So for me, hard work, challenges is something which I'm pretty comfortable, that gives me a kick internally. And just one thing which I always tell everyone, that I don't believe in external benchmarks and I don't believe in external evaluation. I've always evaluated myself on my own parameters. And end of the day, when I go to bed and I talk to myself, am I okay with my performance today or not? Am I okay with how things are going in my life or not? If I say that I'm not okay, then I have something to worry about or work at. But if I think I'm fine, then I don't worry about the world. I really don't care about the world then. So that is how it has been, Mansi. Then we came to Pune. I got a job with one of the organizations. I wouldn't want to name the organization, one of the organization of very big repute. And I think one part of my personality, I'm really not too sure whether I should talk about it or not, but I always feel that I have been pretty, straight enough. At times I feel that I should not be talking certain things and I should keep that in my mind, or I should actually compromise and accommodate. But somehow my heart doesn't allow me to accommodate or compromise, in certain situations. So when I came, I got a job in this company in which I was hired by the global head of that HR head of that company after taking 100 interviews in Pune. And she told me, Manisha, you're the 101st one whom I have interviewed, and I'm placing an offer to you thanks to my 6 months of search that we were waiting, I think, for your candidature, and they hired me. Unfortunately, the role, what they told me, what they promised me, I didn't see that role coming to me. I mean, it was like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months of my work, and I realized that this is not something what they told me in the interview, and it's not shaping up. And I had a clear cut questions to them saying that, this is not something what you told me during the interview, and I'm not comfortable doing this. I mean, I'm pretty ambitious and I want to do more, so give me more. And they were like, it will come, it is taking some time, there are changes in the organization, so a year or so later, you can find yourself doing that. That was the point in time, Mansi, where I wasn't comfortable. I mean, I was raring to go, I wanted more, and I couldn't stop. So I was like, listen, 1 year is too much for me at this phase in my career, right? And I'm being very fair enough in my ask that whatever you committed to me, the picture what you showed me of my role during the interview, that is what should come to me, to be very honest. But it's not coming to me. So that I think I'm fair in my stance, and I resigned. And they were like, yeah, are you sure? Because the HR head would be very hurt because you are resigning just within 2.5 months. I said, yeah, but because this is not something what I want to do, and this is not something what you told me about. So I resigned. I didn't have a job in hand at that point in time, but yes, while I was serving the notice period, I had applied for a job in Infosys, and I got a call from Infosys, and I joined there as an HR business partner for one of the biggest vertical of theirs. So that's where the journey of, the past experiences, learnings and all has all been cumulative, and it brings a lot of richness when you talk about it later, right, about your past experiences. So the journey in Infosys has been for 6 years, 6 7 years, I think. Yeah, 6 years and 11 months. It's been a great journey, a lot of learnings, and I think the value which I took from my childhood days from my family, the values which got instilled in me and got reinforced in IMDR, in my management campus, and the integrity, the strong value system which Infosys also had. So I think there has been a strong correlation of my personality in the places where I have worked and where I have succeeded, right? So right from my childhood in my family, and then IMDR as a college, and then Infosys as an organization. So I think I belong to any ecosystem where you have these three traits very strongly present, right? Which is like hold yourself fearlessly, have a very strong set of value systems which you carry all the time, and integrity. So these are the three things which I think I correlate with in any other ecosystem, and I tend to be satisfied internally, and I tend to do well and stay committed, and I'm intrinsically motivated. I don't need an external motivation factor for me. I think I find my motivations in whatever I have around me. So that's what gets me going. So yes, Infosys, and then Cognizant, then Mastercard, then CRIF. So that's how the
A
journey is.
long journey.
It's been a long journey, of course, 22 years with some gap of almost a year in between the job shifts. Yeah.
So I would like to talk about the gaps.
Hmm.
How does it feel to go back to work? How does it feel to resume? Because once you're in that comfort zone that you're at your home, you're searching for jobs, and it's a very different thing to actually go and work.
Huh. Hmm.
So how's that? How's your mental state during that time? Because even your mental state matters a lot.
So see, the breaks have been in different occasions, right? So one is during my wedding when I talked about when I was
Right.
getting married.
Yes.
That's where. So that time was, it was more of a challenge, right? And you don't really, it's you how you take it and how you present it. So if I have to talk about it as a break and I have to justify that to the industry, the first question asked by the interviewer always is, uh, you took a, you resigned from your job without having a job in hand, and you want your first focus what was to get married. But of course that talks about the clarity of my thoughts, what I want in life, right? I wanted to get married because obviously I have to settle my personal life, and I was confident that I can find a job in again, and I am willing to do that, right? Whatever it takes for me to get that. So as long as you are able to justify with a conviction that your decision making, and you're able to substantiate it with a logic and a reason, right, then it is all good. I mean, it's not, no break is bad, no decision is right or wrong. It has a logic, it has a context, right? And it is related to your own career journey and your own thought process. If you are convinced about it and you can prove it, it's all good. So I think that first break I was able to justify with this logic that yes, I wanted to get married and I wanted to then focus on my career so that I can be mentally free and I can stay motivated at work. So that was first. Second break was, I think, not a break per se, but yes, I had taken a 6 months off when my daughter first child, when my daughter was born, and it is, I wouldn't call it as a break, Mansi, because it's all a mindset, right? I mean, I know that I have been working, I know it's a hard earned career for me, and I have made it myself and I worked for it. So I have the right to enjoy all what I wish to in my life, right? If I wish to enjoy my motherhood, if I wish to enjoy my first child's, the time spent with my first baby, I would do that conveniently, and I don't feel guilty about it, and I don't feel that, I'm lagging behind or I lose my competitive edge and all of that. I just went back and I picked that up. So the point is that you have to be in the moment. If you don't regret your decisions, if you've taken a decision, then be with it. Spend enough time as much as you want to before you arrive at a decision. But once you have arrived at a decision and you have taken that up, then there is no looking back. Then you got to just face it and prove it and do it, kind of stuff, right? So that's how it has been. With the second child, it was just being away from the job, but thanks to organizations like Infosys and all, they've been very helpful, right? So there you have a good ecosystem which supports you as a working woman. And second pregnancy, I have a lot of problem. I had a lot of problem with my second child because I had I had started bleeding from my 7th month onwards, and I couldn't travel all the way to Hinjewadi. I live on the other side of the town. So everyday traveling was putting a lot of stress on me because obviously my daughter was 2.5 years old, and with work and with the second pregnancy, it was too much of a work pressure on me. So the doctor suggested me a complete bed rest 7th month onwards, and I had to. The company allowed it, and I was working from home, and I just had to travel for some of the meetings once in a while if I have to go for a meeting. So I think that was a tough one because every 1 week, 10 days, 15 days, I was getting admitted to Jahangir. So for a moment, I was a little worried that if this is how it goes, then how will I work, right? How will I manage, because there are too many responsibilities on me. But yes, we had a bigger team, and I had my colleagues who had taken over my job and role, and I was managing along with them, and they were very supportive all this while I was managing my second child birth. So second pregnancy, and post pregnancy also I had a lot of problem. I think 3-4 months is where I had the post maternity, depression, fever every day. 3 to 4 months I was getting fever every day in the evening. And but yeah, there was this maternity leave for 3 months, so I could manage that, and I was working from home, so I could manage that. And I was very determined that work is something which can keep me busy. So while I was managing my kids, and my husband has been very supportive, he's managed both my kids very well, so both of us have been able to do that. So I think by the time I was fourth or fifth month post my second delivery, I was back to work. But since I was required to be at home to take care of both my kids, I told my manager that I cannot resume full time work from office. They extended me a work from home for a year, and I took off more roles because my child was keeping me awake at nights. And I told her, you give me the US work also, I'll probably be the HR point of contact for the US team, because I'm anyways awake at night, I'm taking care of my kids, so I will manage the US support also. And I was given a lot of projects in which I can manage with my 24 by 7 flexible schedule. I was managing all of that, and I was doing it pretty well. I enjoyed doing that. uh, I think a lot of times what happens is, life becomes a little dull if you don't have challenges in life. But if constantly keeps you on a pull, on a stretch, that's where you start enjoying and you build that up, right? So uh, the more you get under the crusher, the more you start evolving and learning, right? You get molded strong.
Right.
So that's what it is.
So, what's the most difficult challenge I would say that you've faced till now
Hmm.
in your life?
Difficult challenge.
Any any situation that you remember that you got out of?
No, lot of, I mean, there's been a lot of failures also, right? I mean, but see, again, failure is a perspective, right? What people call it a failure, I would call it a learning for me, because every failure has taught me something, and I knew that next time I'm going to be managing it much better, because I know what mistakes I've done in the past, right? So I think one of the failures would be in one of the companies. In my role, I was very ambitious enough to take a portfolio, and I asked for it, saying that you give me that portfolio and I'll manage it. My manager told me, are you sure you'll be able to do it, Manisha, because there are too many things on you right now. I was overconfident at that point in time, and I said, no, I'll do it. I couldn't do that well, that entire year, and that had given me a bad rating in that year.
Hmm.
Yes, that was one of the setback, and I came back home and I was completely sad and disappointed. I cried for a while. I told my husband, you know what, Ajay, I didn't get a good rating this year in spite of putting in so much. And somewhere I was overconfident that I can drive this very well, but I couldn't do it. So I think this is not my forte, I can't do this. And that's where, when he made me realize, that's fine. I mean, you wanted to do it, at least you don't have a guilt that you didn't even attempt for it, right? Now you know you have attempted for it, you did not succeed in that. So going forward, you know where your strength lies. So just focus on your strength now. Don't take it up next time, kind of a stuff. And yeah, the next time another concept came to me in my role, and it was offered to me, saying that after one failure, are you open to take another challenge? I said, of course, yes, I can still do it. And I took up another challenge. Thankfully, that was something which was, I think, uh, the basic instinct lies in a lot of data analysis and doing something new, which is interesting to me, which I find interesting. So there was this portfolio given to me of data analytics, and I picked that up, and I did very well in that. So fortunately, the next year I was one of the top rated person in the team, in the whole of the company. So I think that's one success after, immediately after a failure, which taught me a lot of lessons. So I think there are a lot of decisions, a lot of times where you are in a dilemma, where you go back thinking to yourself, was it a right call, was it a wrong call, was it a wrong timing, did I take the right step or not? But I think one is having a faith in yourself that whatever you have done so far, you have been able to do it well. You have been able to overcome things and challenges, so you will do it in future. Secondly, as long as you have a pure heart and you're clear in what you're doing, I think that also helps. Having a strong faith and belief in yourself that you have never done anything wrong, you will never do anything wrong, and whatever you're doing is with a good intent, with a strong integrity, with a good value and a strong heart, go ahead and do it, kind of a stuff. So that has got me out of my, not out of my failures, but yes, that had got me bounced back from my failures. That's what I would call it.
So I think it's the attitude and the approach towards life that really matters a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think attitude and approach is something one has to always keep positive. Uh, One thing I would like to say to others is, the constant comparisons which we draw. See, every journey is unique, There is lots to learn from every individual experiences, right? Not that I had a great experience, my experience is also very common like any other person would have had, right? But the point is that what you gain out of it, what you learn out of it, how do you build up your perspectives on that is what makes a difference for you compared to others. So believe in your own journey, believe in your own, be realistic about what you would want to achieve and what are you willing to do for it. A lot of times what I have seen as I grew in my career, it's always a constant comparison and a lot of ambition, but it's always a barter, right? In the organization, as in the professional world, I would call it a barter. What is it that you're willing to give to get what you want, right? So there is always a barter system. A lot of times you have to compromise. For me, I had my own terms and conditions of my barter. So I was very clear in my mind that these are 5 things which I wouldn't want to compromise at any point in time. I have my family, which is very important. I have my personal life, which is very important. But I know that this is something which I would want to achieve. How do I draw balance is on me. I never blame the ecosystem, the environment, or others for what you're not able to get, because it's all on you. It's you who can do it, it's you who wants it, and it's you who can achieve it. So don't start blaming others and do it yourself kind of a stuff. So I personally believe in that, having that kind of an attitude and doing as I would like it to be kind of stuff.
Okay. What about the mentors in your life? You have worked in so many organizations. There must be some of your, I would say, boss or somebody who might have helped you or guided
Yes.
you through things.
Many of them, I think. See, mentoring as a concept, right? Formally, what we take it in the education or in the books of, in the books of colleges, in MBA colleges, mentoring comes in a lot of ways to you. A lot of times it doesn't come very structured, but it's, again, I would always say it's you who has to take it. There are 1,000 things to learn around you, but how you're looking at and how you're learning from it is your responsibility, not others' responsibility, right? So all of my the CEO, first CEO in Global Secure with whom I worked, he acted like a mentor to me. The manager who actually handed over things in a day to me, but then he was available all the while, to guide me, to motivate me, to tell me that yes, you can do it. I mean, you have the right attitude, just be confident, just do it. So I think a lot of times, consciously, unconsciously, people keep teaching you a lot of things. They keep mentoring you, they keep pushing you up and up, and you don't realize that, because that concept as such, it's not there in your mind. That word itself is new, right? To me, mentoring wasn't there when in the first 5 years of my career, but now I know all of them have mentored me in my role, right, in my career. So Infosys, all of my managers, right from my first manager who hired me, she was supposed to be very tough in Infosys, and everyone was like, oh, you're going to work in her team, Manisha, all the best to you. And I was like, yes, but now, I mean, I don't miss to wish them on Teachers' Day, saying that you have been some of the best teachers to me in my life, right? So, a lot of them, I have learned from them. But yes, my mentor is my husband, Ajay. I have learned a lot in all my challenges in my career. I mean, every small decision I go back and discuss with him. And he's the one who guides me. He's the one who's my anchor and my power. And he's senior to me, almost 3 years senior to me. A lot of leadership lessons, a lot of work lessons, a lot of uh, organization dynamics is what which I discuss with him, and he gives me insights and perspectives which I really agree, and I have done that in my life. So to me, I have taken him as my mentor, and he's the one who's guiding me a lot.
Do you think the kids in your life at that time, do you think you missed out on your career or something like that?
Oh, no, not really. Never, never ever. Because I was very clear in what I wanted to do. So, see, let me confess it here. I mean, I have always been shy from traveling. Not that because I don't want to travel, but then my personality, my nature is someone who, wants to be with the family. So, I wouldn't want to, travel more and more, or pick up the jobs, or pick up anything, pick up jobs, or pick up the roles or the situations which would demand a lot. I have done that, but I have managed it well. I have managed the expectations. So for me, my funda is very clear. If I am taking a work call at home, right, on a Sunday or on a Saturday, or 10 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the morning, so when I'm at work, if I get a call from the school, or my kids call me in the evening, it's okay to take that, it's okay to do that. So I have managed my work and personal life very well that ways, with that thought process of mine, without being guilty ever. if I had to travel, I had to travel. My kids have been very supportive. They're like, Mama, you go and we'll manage it for next 3 days, and they've managed it on their own along with my husband. And there are times when I myself don't want to go, and I tell them, listen, you know what, I have to go there for a trip. So like, go, when are you going, when are you going, because we'll order this, our menu is ready, we'll eat Maggie, we'll order this, we'll order that food, and you won't stop us because you won't know what we are eating entire day. So I was like, no, but I have decided I'm not going because I don't want to leave you all. So like, give us your manager's number, we'll call her or him and tell her that please, Mama wants to travel, please take her to that business trip, kind of a stuff. So I think I know, I've confessed that, you know, a lot of times where I have given some bahanas and I have not traveled, but I realize and I make my own call when I know it is required, it's a must for me, and I manage everything back at home and I do that travel. So it's all, to me, that concept of work life balance is a fad. I don't believe in that. There's nothing called work life balance. See, there are no boundaries, okay? Manisha is Manisha, and whatever she has in her DNA is what she's at home, what she's with her friends, what she's with her husband, with family, and at work with my colleagues, with my team, and my business counterparts, right? I cannot change, I cannot have multiple faces. This is my behavior, this is my reaction pattern, this is how I deal with situations in all aspects of my life, and I will deal it the same way. So there's nothing called a boundary where there is a work and there is a personal life. You have to balance, you have to manage both and accept it as a norm. That is how it is. So for me, it's a norm. For me, I don't believe in that how much time I've spent when my daughter was 3 months old, whether I stepped out to, you know, join my job when she was 3 months old, leaving her at home. We had set everything at home properly, and I knew when I have to give a call and I have to walk back home, I can simply walk back home. I'll finish my work and I'll go home. So that I don't stress myself out and I don't bother myself. I'm very clear, if I have to do this, I have to do this, and I'll do it. And you see, the point is that how ambitious you are, that pushes you to do more. So all this while on in my career, I think 20 years, there are very few moments where I would have wasted time, because for me, the way we are, I'm you know, wired is, come to work, you know that you are logging in at 10, and constantly work until 6 7:30, because you know that I have to finish all what I have in my agenda and I have to go home on time, and I don't want to think of work when I go home. So not wasting time, prioritizing things in life is very important without giving any excuses. And when you have to do it, when there is overwork, then you have to do it, then you settle down your kids, and then you have your sleepless nights and you finish it off, but you enjoy doing that.
Do you ever feel like you're overworking, or do you feel exhausted?
Exhausted, yes, of course. I mean, when there is too much on your plate, there is a lot of stress, and this is one thing which I, again, you know, uh, uh, there was one point in time when there was too much and I wasn't able to manage it. I felt, you know, बच्चों की exams है, ये चल रहा है, then your maids are gone for 15 days, कुछ हो गया, then you have to come to work and there are meetings which you cannot avoid, and you know, your monthly cycles. For me, in the last 5 6 years, because of now I'm in that age, that juncture now, right, that there are a lot of hormonal changes in my body. So there are a lot of times when I feel extremely tired, exhausted, irritable, and you know, every other thing bothers me, and I feel, God, what's happening? I mean, कुछ भी ठीक नहीं चल रहा है, सब कुछ ऐसे ही चल रहा है, kind of a stuff. But then the next moment it's like, तो ऐसा ही होगा ना, होना ही था ना, now let's see, let's sit and plan how I want to do it, kind of a stuff. So I keep talking to myself. A lot of times I keep thinking and I keep conversing with myself in my mind, and that gives me a lot of ideas, pointers to, you know, get clarity and move forward, kind of a stuff. So I think those moments are part and parcel, and they keep coming, but you have to handle it. So for me, as you know, I have not told you a lot of things because right from my childhood days I've been very curious. वो environment भी वैसे ही होता है ना, that every summer vacation you got to pick up something, either go join painting classes, do some cooking classes, do some ceramic pot making and all of that. So my every childhood, every year summer vacation has gone doing something, and that I did not realize that that has got into my personality. Now you cannot sit idle, you want to keep learning something, you want to keep doing something, keep trying something, and there's no age for it. I learned table tennis, I think, about 10 years back, 10 12 years back. We play TT almost 6 days a week now, 1.5 hours, 2 hours in the evening. And I've been playing a very good TT now. We have a good team of around 10 12 professionals in our society, and we all play in the evening. So TT is something which I have learned. I mean, I didn't even know what table tennis game is all about in my school days, and even after marriage. So it's about only last 12 years that I started playing, and I play pretty well, I would say. So that's one thing which I picked up, just because the curiosity of learning something and not keeping yourself idle, and let's try. वो let's try वाला attitude होता है ना, चलते हैं ना, करते हैं ना, क्या होता है, kind of a stuff. So वो रहता है. And my husband is a very good TT player. Now again to him, because it was in the evenings, he wanted to go to play TT, and I used to tell him, listen, how is this possible? I mean, you're coming back from work, I'm coming back from work, now you want to go and play TT, so when do we get to talk? So he said, come, you also learn TT, then we get to talk while playing. 2 hours we play with each other and we talk, and we play with the group. So then you can be with me and we can spend time together. So we have found ways of, enjoying the way things are, kind of stuff, without cribbing about it. And I think, yeah, I sing. I do a lot of singing, and that's a hobby singing. I'm not a professional or trained singer, but yes, I have picked that up again in the last 10-15 years when I started singing. But there is a singing app in which I actually started singing in the last 5 years, and I've sung almost, I think, what, 11,000 songs in that.
Oh,
That's a stress buster for me. Music
wow.
is a stress buster for me. So and all of these I keep picking it up, and my kids call me, Mama, you're a, jack of all trades and master of none. I said, it's absolutely fine. I don't want to master anything. I'm happy what I'm doing. These are stress busters for me, and I love doing that and enjoy doing that. I do that. The day I think that I want to make it a career and profession, nothing can stop me. I'll leave everything else and I'll join a class and I'll learn 10 hours a day singing, and then I'll start and record my album also. So they're like, come on, what are you saying? I said, yeah, because I'm doing it as a hobby right now. So I'm happy where I am. I think that reminds me of one more thing, Mansi. What's important for us is, again, as I said, right, don't believe in external benchmarks. They are good for you to stay motivated, be ambitious. But then something which encourages you and gives you a rational, pragmatic approach towards assessing yourself is your own thought process and, evaluation criteria. So never measure yourself with the standards, right? Like, I keep doing a lot of things and I'm fine. If someone comes and says, what, you're doing 10 things and but you're not good at any of that, that's absolutely fine, because I don't want to be. The day I want to be good in that, then I know what I'm going to do for it, right, to achieve it. So it's all clear in my mind without getting influenced with what others are saying. So I think being clear in having a good understanding of your own self, your own strengths, your own life, looking at it, only in your context is very important, and then bridging the gaps with the external world. So having a clarity, having a peace with yourself in your own life, inner world, and then starting to correlate and see how it is you're establishing that synergy between your inner and outer world is very important. I think that's how you do it.
What would you say is the mantra to your life, if we call it?
Oh God,
The
I don't have a mantra. I think I'm just, the way my personality is, Mansi, I think I'm passionate about things. ये फंडा होता है कि करना, if you have to do it, give your best to it, and if you can't give your best to it, then don't take it up. I keep telling my kids, even if you're doing it, even if you're appearing for a test or you're doing something, participating in something, if you have participated, it's you who's participating, not for anyone else. So give your best na. Why have your parameters ki nahi karna hai, aise hi karna hai, just one of the events kind of stuff, then you better not do it. So if you're doing it, you give your best so that you don't have any regrets, right? Even what if you don't win, that's absolutely fine, but you had given your best. So that is what I think I also do. If I have to do it, I'll give my 100% commitment to it, because I know that I'm doing it and it's my personal brand which is there, right? So I want to convince myself, end of the day, that I have done it well. No matter whether I did not win, whether I did not get the. I failed so many job interviews, yeah, which I mean, I wanted to get into some companies so badly, so desperately, but I never got that. Doesn't mean that, the disappointment comes for a moment, for half an hour, for 1 hour. It's that emotion which actually gets into you, but then when you sit back and you think through, you get inspirations from your past of, or all your past instances in life. You get your motivation and strength from all what has happened in your life, and that's what that keeps me moving. And again, pick up myself again, that that's okay, I did not get that, I'll do well something somewhere else. And I have done that. I have seen a lot of failures, I have seen a lot of successes, as I call it, but I'm absolutely fine, because I know I've been able to do it, kind of stuff. I've been able to manage it.
wow, I'm stunned for some time because I like your approach towards life. It's very positive, I would say. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes, yes, you feel sad, you feel low, but then you come out of it, and how you deal with stuff is what matters. And I think you've dealt with it pretty nicely, pretty, I don't No, I'm not finding the right word right now.
I think, yeah, so far so good. I would say I've been able to do it pretty fairly well, I would say.
uh, what advice would you like to give to the organizations for
Hmm.
like there are many organizations who, yes, they have their I would say facilities for women like
Hmm.
maternity leave
Hmm.
and all
Hmm.
that, but
Hmm.
nothing special for them. Of course we don't need anything special for us, but there are some things like during maternity they
Hmm.
have to understand our situation, or
Yeah.
there are many
Yeah.
other stuff like you said our hormonal cycles.
Hmm. Hmm.
What suggestion would you like to give to the organizations that they should do for us?
So I think, see, I wouldn't say any special things to be done
Yes,
for a
absolutely.
woman,
Nothing
right? For a
special.
working woman, nothing
Yes.
special. Just that one has to be understanding enough of the situation and manage it accordingly, kind of a stuff.
Hmm.
Even as an organization, the ecosystem. I mean, for me, maybe for the level I'm in right now, I have the flexibility, right? But I, as a woman leader, am I extending the same flexibility, am I extending the same thinking thought process, the same sensitivity to the women, to the girls in my team who are working with me? For me it's very simple. I keep sharing a lot of my experiences with them. Every time they come to me with a situation and I tell them, listen, you will think that, oh, Manisha is again starting to give her example, but then see if this helps you, okay? Because this is how I have dealt, and I think I've done fairly well. So do you want to deal it that way? But you're free to evaluate it in your own situation, right? So I think the organization has simply have to be open and acceptable, not giving any special privileges. Because I think in my past conversation with Shishir, I was mentioning that I am not one person who believes that one should reduce the entrance examination passing percentages for female candidates,
I
or
agree.
one should have
Yes.
special privileges in the interviews, or have a lower assessment benchmark or a parameter for a women candidate. I don't believe in all that. For me, if you have taken it, if you want to be, we are talking about equality, we got to prove ourselves that we are competent enough and we are equal. I mean, equality doesn't come in by saying, listen, just because I'm a woman, allow me to stand in the queue.
That's
I
true.
should have the stamina, like any other men, to stand and wait in the queue for 4 hours, like they do. And that's where I call equality is, right? That I should have the strength to compete with them at par, whether it is intellectual competition or it's a physical strength competition. Obviously, I mean, by genetically, we are, a lot of times where we get limited or challenged, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You can do wherever you have your strengths, and you can accept it wherever you cannot, right? So that's how it is. So for me, organizations, I think, no special privileges, but have a very accommodative and an understanding approach, genuinely, towards your working women, and give that flexibility as and when needed, but build towards making them stronger. And I think that's exactly where I liked when I was talking and I heard about this concept of 1 million women leaders community. That a very different dimension and perspective which we have never thought of, right? I have gone through it myself as a woman, and I knew that, I never realized that being physically fit, how important it is. But as you grow, as you have more responsibilities at work, in life, you got to make sure your first responsibility is towards your health. Until unless you are healthy, you are fit to come to work, you will not be able to manage any challenges in life. So the aspect towards, giving importance to your own fitness is something which I loved it in this concept. And I think first time someone is bringing it out, for the organizations to agree and accept and work towards it. So I think that's what it is.
Okay, I think we have covered enough.
I'm sure I've given more than enough.
Absolutely
I
more
got
than
into
enough.
that fit of, talking, and then
You
I
love to
kept
talk,
on.
I can tell.
Yes, I do love to
And
talk.
I'm loving to listen to all these things. I can listen to ours for hours
Thank you
as
so
well.
much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your experience. I think it would really help. It really helped me also. I was sitting over here listening to you. It inspired me so much. Thank you.
I'm honored, Mans. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thanks a lot.